Coming up on AgWeek TV, Russia invades Ukraine, shutting down ag exports. We'll find out what this means for U.S. grain and oilseed markets. The war drives fertilizer prices to record highs. A major carbon pipeline project makes a big announcement.
We'll look at a rare cattle family in the Red River Valley.
And we'll take you to the largest organic farming event in the country. Welcome to AgWeek TV. I'm Michelle Rook. The Russian invasion of Ukraine shut down export markets in that region this week, and we saw a volatile market reaction. The countries account for around a quarter of the world's total grain exports. In the current marketing year, Ukraine ranks fourth in the world export market for corn and wheat and third for barley. Russia ranks second in wheat exports and fourth in barley, and the region dominates sun oil exports, with Ukraine the top supplier and Russia at number 2. The Russia-Ukraine conflict has short and long-term implications for ag exports, which has driven up U.S. grain markets. Russia shut down all of Ukraine's ports until the war ends, and while Russia is still exporting some, grain movement has been slow. NDSU marketing specialist Frank Olsen says Ukraine is a major corn exporter, so he expects the U.S. to pick up some of that business. Plus, both Ukraine and Russia are leading wheat exporters, so some of those sales will also shift.
So I do think we'll see kind of a round robin or shifting. Some of the countries that were buying from Russia and Ukraine will now shift to buy, for example, from Argentine wheat or maybe some Australian wheat, which will then open the door for some additional export sales from the U.S.
The other question is whether Ukraine can get the 2022 crop planted as the season starts in early May, and will they even have the inputs? That leaves concerns about crop timing.
If the conflict is still going on in the middle of May, will that impact seeding and the type of crop seeded? If it continues on into July, will we see some delays in harvest or some problems with harvest and delivery?
He says typically Russia and Ukraine have heavy export sales and deliveries right at harvest in July, so that could mean some much higher prices for U.S. wheat harvested at the same time. The war between Russia and Ukraine is also having a big impact on the global vegetable oil market. The two countries combined account for nearly 60% of production and 75% of the world's exports of sunflower oil. The U.S., in comparison, only exports about 20% of its production. John Sandbakken with the National Sunflower Association says unless product is on the water, export deliveries may not arrive, and delays in shipping won't be resolved quickly.
Even if all the fighting stopped today, they still would be at least 30 days away from being able to ship anything at the outside. And so the longer the conflict goes on, obviously it's going to just keep delaying things.
He says Ukrainian farmers may not get the new crop planted either, which is driving up prices. But even before the invasion, sunflower markets were strong due to a small 2021 crop. They're running about $10 above the same time last year and near record highs for both old and new crop. That plus strong crop insurance guarantees may result in more flower acres planted this spring. Prices for inputs like fuel and fertilizer were already at near to record levels, but the geopolitical disruptions in the Black Sea have sent those prices even higher. Josh Linville is director of fertilizer for StoneX Financial. He says the biggest spike was in the urea market, which shot up $250 per ton when the invasion began, and those prices have stayed strong. Retail anhydrous ammonia hit an all-time high of $1,488 a ton. He says Russia is one of the top global exporters of many fertilizer products, and their ability to ship is limited with the ports shut and facing global sanctions.
When we look at urea, they account for about 14% of the global export value or numbers. UAN, that's their biggest one. They're anywhere from 25 to 31% of the global export. Phosphate, they are 10, 11. Potash, they're a big producer. They're about 20% of the global operating capacity for potash.
Linville is fairly confident U.S. farmers will have adequate fertilizer supplies this spring, but says it will come at a price. And the longer the countries are at war, the tighter world supplies will get, and the higher prices could go. Farmers are looking at historically high spring guaranteed prices for crop insurance. Those were set in February, and soybeans ended at a record $14.33 per bushel, up $2.46 from last year. Corn was at $4.90, up $1. Spring wheat was at a record $9.18, up $2.66, with durum at $9.43. The base price for sunflowers was also at record highs. Now at 75 to 85% coverage, farmers will have a solid financial backstop amid a season dominated by volatility and uncertainty. Continental Resources is making a major investment in what's being called the largest carbon capture project in the world. This week, Continental Resources founder Harold Hamm announced a $250 million investment with Summit Carbon Solutions. Hamm and others involved in the project made the announcement at the Tharaldson Ethanol plant in Castleton, North Dakota. Tharaldson Ethanol is one of 31 ethanol producers to sign on to the $4.5 billion pipeline. It would move carbon from several states in western North Dakota for storage. Hamm's company helped drive the resurgence in North Dakota's oil industry. He says his company's knowledge of North Dakota geology will help the underground storage project.
We believe that this is the right thing to do for the right reasons, for the environment, for ag, for industry, for our country. And that's why we're here.
Summit's project is being met with some resistance from landowners, but the company would like to start building the pipeline in 2023 and have it operating in 2024. Coming up on AgWeek TV, as our livestock tour continues, we'll visit a rare eastern North Dakota cattle operation.
Small or large, Superior Grain Equipment has the storage, conditioning, and handling equipment to fit any size operation with a wide variety of options and accessories, including our patented Blockbuster auger to help break up blockages over the center sump gate, and a full line of mixed flow grain dryers with even heating, excellent efficiency, and expandable capacities. Protect your investment and market your grain. Get superior quality, protection, and reliability with Superior Grain Equipment.
The team at North Star Ag is committed to quality and committed to you. We're not just a full-service dealer, we're farmers too, so we know you need the best machinery and services that'll keep you going all season long. We have the largest equipment inventory in the upper Midwest with a well-equipped parts and service department. So whether you need machinery tomorrow or parts today, stop in and experience what North Star Ag can offer on our website at northstar-ag.com or give us a call at 701-361-4790.
Good work, good pay, and a good life. It's the Trans Systems way. Good work, good pay, and a good life. Lets me live my way. Good work, good pay, and a good life. Trans Systems way. Good work, good pay, and a good life. Lets me live my way. It's the Trans Systems way. Good work.
Giddy up, partners. It's time for the 85th Annual North Dakota Winter Show in Valley City, March 9th through the 13th. Don't miss the PRCA rodeo performances March 11th and 12th. And with thrilling events all weekend long, there's something for the whole family. It's the 85th Annual North Dakota Winter Show. Find complete schedule and tickets at northdakotawintershow.com or find us on Facebook. Go beyond the headlines with an AGWEEK membership. Get in-depth agribusiness reporting, original farm and ranch stories, and fact-based research for the most comprehensive ag news in the upper Midwest. Experienced ag journalists bring you exclusive ag news, insights, and policy updates you won't find anywhere else. Become a member today and get unlimited access to AgWeek and AgWeek TV.
The AgWeek Livestock Tour is brought to you by 701X, Transova, and Farmers Mutual of Nebraska.
It's rare to find a purebred livestock enterprise in eastern North Dakota. Mikkel Pates paid a visit to the Olsen Hereford Ranch in this week's stop on our livestock tour. It's also our AgWeek cover story.
In the rich soil of the Red River Valley, most farmers dropped their livestock long ago, but not the Olsens.
We're mainly Red Angus, almost 3/4 Red Angus, and 1/4 Hereford.
Carl Olsen's the fourth generation in his family, farming and raising purebred cattle in eastern North Dakota. He and his wife Lindsay and his parents Ed and Jean have a herd of about 200 bred females. The family farms about 2,900 acres of corn, soybeans, wheat, and oats, but they're somewhat limited on grazing land.
We do a lot of rotate grazing. We do a lot of creative things like putting cattle out on corn stalks after we've combined the corn. We'll spread manure onto the ground for fertilizer and stuff where we're running the cattle. And we're always kind of experimenting and doing some value-added type stuff.
The Olsens hold the distinction of being the longest-standing Hereford seed stock producer in the state, and they also raise Red Angus. The Olsens recently held their February Red Power sale on the farm. They say the hardiness and adaptability of the cattle and the high-quality meat of Herefords adds value to buyers.
We had a bull bring 13.5 in here. We've had bulls sell for 26,000, 21,000. I mean, we average 5,000 on our bulls.
The auction drew in-person and online buyers from around the country. It was held in a new, bigger shop building the Olsens put up in the past year to replace a building that burned.
In any operation, you always need to be upgrading and being progressive and making things easier for your operation to run smoothly.
So in a world where farm economics rises and falls, the Olsens hope their Red Power powers them into the future. For Ag Week, this is Mikkel Pates at Argusville, North Dakota.
You can read more in the next Ag Week magazine or at agweek.com. U.S. poultry and egg exports continue to steadily increase as demand for protein grows globally and despite the spread of bird flu. The U.S. is the #1 poultry producer in the world. It offers consumers a cheaper protein, also making it the most consumed protein in the world. Greg Tyler, CEO of the USA Poultry and Egg Export Council, says worldwide demand for poultry is going to continue to grow. Currently, outbreaks of avian flu in commercial flocks in Kentucky and Indiana are causing some countries to stop importing poultry from those states. And now Iowa has also detected bird flu in a backyard flock. He says larger export bans will only happen if the outbreak snowballs.
If avian flu continues to spread from state to state to state, then we may see some countries say, okay, it's not under control. We may ban the whole U.S.
Tyler says they hope that doesn't happen, especially with the regionalization agreements the U.S. has with major importers. Ahead on Ag Week TV, we'll talk with a well-known North Dakota agribusinessman who has lots of experience doing business in Russia and Ukraine.
Auctionblock.com. First with online equipment auctions in 1999. First in worldwide registered users. Auctionblock.com. Online farm, construction, and transportation equipment auctions every Wednesday. Sell with the leader. Call Auction Block today, 218-483-7880, or visit us online at auctionblock.com.
Every season has an end. After spending your whole life building something, it can be hard to move on to your next stage in life. But when that time comes, you deserve to have someone you trust guide you through the process. And by trusting us to pass on your legacy, it gives someone else the chance to create their own. Every auction has a story. Let us share yours.
Small or large, Superior Grain Equipment has the storage, conditioning, and handling equipment to fit any size operation with a wide variety of options and accessories, including our patented Blockbuster auger to help break up blockages over the center sump gate, and a full line of mixed flow grain dryers with even heating, excellent efficiency, and expandable capacities. Protect your investment and market your grain. Get superior quality, protection, and reliability with Superior Grain Equipment.
Is your crop insurance working for you? Are you using your crop insurance to help market your production? There have been a lot of improvements to crop insurance to help maximize guarantees. To see what crop insurance can really do for you, call the professionals at Martinson Ag. Each of our insurance specialists have over 25 years of individual experience in the crop insurance industry, both on the company level and the producer level. Martinson Ag, they know risk management.
We're going to talk today about a revolutionary auto steer product that you guys have developed.
We back one of these things in, it'll drain a 40-acre patch just within hours.
What can you tell us about what dairy farmers do to make sure that their animals are happy? Their care is our primary concern.
Is there still time for producers to get storage bins up?
Absolutely. We still can definitely get something up and ready for corn harvest.
It's now March and planting season is right around the corner, but many farmers are still concerned about how dry it is. Is there any change in sight? Here's John with our Agri-weather outlook.
Looking forward over the next 2 weeks, a couple of things are going on that are bear some discussion here. One is that the pattern of cold weather in through the northern plains and upper Midwest Great Lakes area, boy, that is going to continue. We'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at where around the nation it's dry and wet, because these two things are starting to form a pattern. And as we get a little bit closer to the actual growing season, if that pattern doesn't change, it'll tell us something about what the summer's going to be like. Jet stream pattern right now is split. There's actually a split up here around Alaska and a second split over the Rocky Mountain areas, and it's resulting in a relatively cold weather pattern across the northern plains and Great Lakes. Cold weather little finger of that slips down into the Rockies. And for the time being, with the main jet so far south, it's really pushed the warm weather in the southeastern states just down to the Gulf Coast area. Florida is nice and sunny and warm. Rest of the south fairly chilly as we go through this week. Cold weather will linger across the northern plains. Most of North Dakota, Minnesota, and into Wisconsin is just going to be cold. The cold will be fleeting over the eastern part of the nation. It will kind of come and go. A lot of frontal activity in this region. But in the northern plains, it just stays cold. Toward the end of the week, a little bit of ridging out west will pull some warm weather up into the southwest and up into California and even into parts of western Oregon. That's not necessarily a good thing agriculturally because it continues to be a very dry winter out in those areas. The second week of the forecast here, we're going to continue with this split flow pattern, but it's also mostly a northerly flow, which is going to keep the northern plains fairly cold and keep the deep south fairly cold as well. As far as precipitation goes, there will be a couple of systems that will work out through the Midwest this week, mostly the eastern part of the corn bean belt. It will bring some rain to the south. The southwest will stay dry. There'll be a little bit of snow into the Rocky Mountains. The northern plains stays dry. Second week, this northern area continues to be cold. Rainy weather will continue in the southeast, not necessarily enough rain down in the deep south, and the southwest may get a few showers, but nothing probably particularly significant. And this looks like a fairly thin line of heavier snow potential. Most of the Midwest is going to be fairly dry. And I wanted to mention this too. We had this on last week, but it's really coming to pass that most of the northern and eastern parts of North Dakota, as we go through the entire month of March, I really don't expect much snow melting. We're going to delay spring in this area. No melting at all when you get up this far north, but a lot of cooler than average weather in the northern U.S. To get warmer than average, you're going to have to go south and east from Chicago. Iowa will be about average in March, and it'll just stay that way. And as we look at the precipitation pattern, kind of a similar regime. Wet in the eastern Corn Belt, Pacific Northwest, most of the plains pretty dry.
Growing up as a kid, Gateway was always the grain bin building and the grain handling people that were out in our area. One of the reasons we chose to go with Gateway was they're the leader in the industry and they are the #1 Brock dealer in the United States. We've really liked the Brock design and some of the designs that Gateway has come up with throughout the years. My best advice would be to just put your trust in them and let them come up with the design that's going to fit your needs.
For over 130 years, Farmers Mutual of Nebraska has been providing protection from the unexpected. Farmers and ranchers choose Farmers Mutual insurance coverage for their industry experience, prompt claim service, and unmatched financial strength. Experience an insurance plan that's customized for your operation. Visit fmne.com to contact an agent for a quote today. Farmers Mutual of Nebraska, always alongside you.
Your legacy is not only where you came from, but more importantly, it's where you're headed. With our toolbox of reproductive technologies, exceptional team of professionals, and more than 40 years of experience, we continue to create future leaders. Whether it's advancing superior genetics or empowering the next generation of livestock producers, you can trust Transova to continue your legacy.
Every season has an end. After spending your whole life building something, it can be hard to move on to your next stage in life. But when that time comes, you deserve to have someone you trust guide you through the process. And by trusting us to pass on your legacy, it gives someone else the chance to create their own. Every auction has a story. Let us share yours.
Go beyond the headlines with an AGWEEK membership. Get in-depth agribusiness reporting, original farm and ranch stories, and fact-based research for the most comprehensive ag news in the upper Midwest. Experienced ag journalists bring you exclusive ag news, insights, and policy updates you won't find anywhere else. Become a member today and get unlimited access to AGWEEK and AGWEEK TV.
A native Ukrainian now living in Minnesota is nervously watching the events unfold in his homeland. Sergei Kadyrov moved to Red Lake Falls, Minnesota in 2017 to work for a farmer. He met and married Katie Dolan, and now they run a dog kennel and horse business. He helped get his mother and brother to temporary safety in Poland, but he still has many friends and relatives in Ukraine. He says he tries to keep in touch with loved ones when he can get through, but he appreciates the support he's getting here.
I'm so happy around here. It's middle nowhere. Everybody think about Ukraine. Some people know me too, and they always call me and ask, because I'm very stressful all the time. I'm just shaking all day straight. I cannot focus on work. But people in the United States, very helpful.
Kadyrov and his wife are raising money for humanitarian aid. He's hosting a silent auction on their business's Facebook page, or you can donate to the address on your screen. Few people from North Dakota know Russia and Ukraine like Howard Dahl. The CEO of Amity Technology has done business in that area for about 30 years. Mikkel Pate sat down with Dahl to get his thoughts on this terrible conflict.
I'm here with Howard Dahl, who is the CEO of Amity Technology. And Howard, the conflict in Russia and Ukraine hits home for you, doesn't it?
Very much so. I've made 93 trips there over 30 years. I have dear friends in both countries. We have employees, 8 employees in Russia, 1 in Ukraine.
You since have made a big part of your company's work marketing into Russia and Ukraine, right?
It's been a significant part of my world. For instance, with our Concord air seeder, we sold probably 500 air seeders into that market before John Deere sold their very first one. So we were pioneers.
The 2 places account for what part of what you do nowadays?
Probably 10% of our business.
What do you think the impact is on various kinds of agricultural trade nowadays?
I think the biggest question that everybody's pondering right now is how this is going to play out. Because if Ukraine does not get its crop in, or let's say only gets half its crop in, with the ending food stocks where they are, it could be, especially for the poorest of the poor in the world, food prices could go way up.
Does it square with anything you've ever talked to with the church leaders that you've known?
I think the best word I've been able to use is there's a condescension toward Ukraine on the part of many Russians. They look down on Ukraine, look down on Ukrainians.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Howard, and I know how much you care about that part of the world.
Still ahead on AgWeek TV, we'll take you to the nation's largest organic farming conference.
When the water's high and your yields are low, 'cause your fields have no place for water to flow. Just one call takes care of it all. Call on Field Drainage Incorporated. Call on Field Drainage Incorporated. Call on Field Drainage. The experts in the field.
Hamilton System Inc. in Drayton, North Dakota is the North American distributor of the Fantini corn and sunflower header. Both the L03 corn head and the G03 sunflower head have a simple, high-efficiency, low-maintenance PTO-driven gearbox, which eliminates slippage and power loss even in the most trying conditions. These heads are built with a solid one-piece frame and tubular steel construction that will withstand the harshest field conditions. Available in models from 4 to 18 rows, they adapt to any combine and come with a 4-year warranty on the transmission units.
Don't miss out on the equipment you'll need next season. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH dealer, has early order discounts on its full line of powerful, efficient, new Case IH equipment, including tractors, combines, and self-propelled sprayers. Get a great deal and ensure that you have the latest in productivity and technology. Supply chains are tight. Contact your Titan Machinery dealership today and find out how much you can save by ordering ahead. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH equipment experts.
At Advanced Grain Handling Systems, we're your full-service grain dryer and bin project partner. We'll handle everything from start to finish.
These guys are all in one. That was one of the big draws. They were the general. They took care of the electrical. They took care of the cement, took care of everything.
Whether your next project is big or small, let our team help with it all. Visit advancedgrainhandling.com.
For AgWeek, this is Mikkel Pates at Watertown, South Dakota.
We'll look at the positive impacts that dairy can have on the community.
A Minnesota couple has put a grain bin to a new use. Spoiler alert, it's not grain.
This elaborate system of tubing with the downhill slope is how Maplewood State Park gathers sap to make syrup.
Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of AgWeek TV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com or follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. Organic and sustainable producers gathered in La Crosse, Wisconsin recently for the 33rd annual Moses Organic Farming Conference. The 3-day event is the largest organic farming conference in the country.
The theme this year is Cultivating Community.
MOSES stands for Midwest Organic and Sustainable Education Service, and they work to educate growers and the public on the benefits of how they practice ag. The MOSES Conference brings together producers from around the upper Midwest. Lori Stern is the group's executive director.
A huge piece of what's important to this conference is just the ability to connect with other farmers, other people across the food system, because it is such a large conference and because it's such a diverse production methods. So you have farmers that are doing a lot of different kinds of farming, and so if there's expertise for all of those things.
Those at the conference ranged from longtime certified organic to producers just thinking about making the switch. The event shares the latest information while allowing farmers to connect.
It's a large neighborhood gathering.
Moses board member Reynaldo Hazlet Marakin says everyone is welcome to come and learn about sustainable ag practices and share their experiences and ideas. They're working to build a community of resilient, organic, and sustainable farms.
If you are thinking of a different way of doing agriculture, yes, this is the premier, probably the only in the country at this scale that brings this kind of ecosystem together.
Read more on Noah Fish's story at agweek.com or in AgWeek magazine. And don't forget to join AgWeek for our own farm show March 8th and 9th in Rochester, Minnesota. It's the AgWeek Farm Show, back in person this year. There's a trade show, and we'll have panel discussions on pipelines, animal ag policies, and food insecurity. We'll also be taping our show there. Be sure to stop by our booth and say hi. Stories you'll only see on agweek.com and AgWeek magazine this week. The U.S. Attorney's Office has indicted a Washburn, North Dakota area farmer for federal crop insurance fraud. And Minnesota released its annual report of price trends for farmland prices and rents for 2021. Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of AgWeek TV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Have yourself a great and safe week.